Mike Bohn here with Jake Paul, who returns to the boxing ring December 15th. Andre August, Jake. I know you've kind of talked a little bit about this kind of turn in philosophy when it comes to your career, but for the people who haven't maybe heard from you yet, obviously are used to you competing largely against guys who have kind of come over from the MMA world. What is behind kind of this corner you're seemingly trying to turn in terms of the goals for your boxing career?
Yeah, this is my road to becoming a world champion. And, when I've said that and uttered those words, I think people took it as a joke, or he's just saying that to market himself or make himself a bigger fighter, to ruffle feathers and get media headlines and stuff. But they didn't actually think I was being serious. I'm dead serious. That is what I'm going to do. And this is the step in that direction. We've done the big pay-per-views. We've generated $200 million in sales. And this is now taking a step back from like business and MMA fighters and big names to just grow my experience, to stay sharp, to elevate my level of opposition, and to fight real pro boxers who have been doing this their whole life. He's more experienced than me, more knockouts than me, 10-1, a beast, and he's going to come to fight. So December 15th, live exclusively on DAZN in Orlando. I'm going to knock this guy out while drinking some Celsius.
Yeah, there you go. And I know the great people at Celsius, helped set this up. I met some of them in Dallas around the last fight. Just talk about that relationship a little bit and why they've seemed to be such a key supporter and sponsor for you throughout your career here.
Yeah, it's just been an amazing relationship. I've been cool with the CEO, and he's one of the best business guys, coolest guys I've met. And the whole entire Celsius team, I got to go meet everyone in the offices. Everyone's so nice, warm, inviting. And I've been drinking Celsius since I can remember, so it's just this natural fit, and to be sponsored by a brand that I've loved from early on in my life is just really, really cool. And, we've just started off in this relationship, and it's been extremely successful in terms of just content, clips, marketing, all of the stuff, and just having fun with it.
Yeah, you seem to have a great track record here of getting the right people around you. And this obviously seems to be an example of that. And to go back to what you were saying a little bit before. So with a fight like this against Andre, all the things you mentioned, like what are you kind of getting out of this in your mind in terms of preparation, in terms of the fight experience itself that you wouldn't get against a Nate Diaz and Anderson Silva, one of these guys?
Yeah, it's just that a traditional boxer coming at me with who has a lot of experience and has been on a 7-fight win streak. I think that some MMA fighters fight with this like unorthodox style that's a little bit different than the traditional boxing style. They maybe don't know how to pace themselves in the ring as much in terms of punch output. Boxers throw more punches, have a different level of cardio. So there's just a lot of new challenges that this faces. And Andre is a guy who comes forward, works a lot to the body, and has that experience. So I just have to be sharper and be better. And that pressure creates room for me to grow. With that pressure on me, I have to rise to the occasion every single morning in practice and every single night at the track or in the weight room. I have to be great, and that makes me better.
When did you come to this realization this is what you wanted? Because I noticed, you follow the great combat sports careers. It's a constant state of reevaluation of goals, of what you need, the people around you, things like that. And it seemed like right after the Diaz fight, there's talk of maybe a rematch in MMA, maybe a rematch in boxing, all these things. So it felt for a bit that maybe that was still going to be kind of the near future of your world. Was there something that happened, someone that you talked to that kind of made you feel now is the time to go in this direction?
Yeah, look, it's just each domino falling. And I just feel like this is the right moment in my career to go down this path. I've taken out pretty much all of the big names. So Now it's time to focus on the original goal, which is becoming a world champion, and focusing on this tunnel vision of just treating myself like any other boxing prospect out there who's on the road to a world championship, staying really active, taking more fights, and staying in camp to just better my skill. And maybe, sure, some of these big, other names might come around and we can do or make a deal happen. There's KSI, there's Tommy, all of this, but I'm just doing me and focused on my end goal right now.
So how many of these types of fights do you think you'll need to kind of get to where you want to be? Because we obviously know this is achievable. Like you see Francis Ngannou, how he performed against Tyson Fury. He is, as of today, ranked in the top 10 of the WBC's heavyweight rankings. So for you to kind of get on that trajectory where you're actually like a valid name to be considered in some of these title fights for whatever organization it may be, how much of this do you think you need to do?
Yeah, well, I think Francis is 37 years old. Um, so that would be 11 years for me. But no, I think I could do it quickly because of my focus, my dedication, and my athleticism. It turns out I'm more athletic than 99.9% of boxers in terms of running, jumping, weightlifting, squatting, all of these things, punching power. But what I don't have that they have is the decades of experience. So I'm on this like crash course to get all of those things. But it's backed by this extreme athleticism. No boxer that has ever come to camp has beaten me in a jog, beaten me in a sprint, beaten me on the bench press, beaten me on the squats. So that I have to my advantage. And I think I can get there in 2 to 3 years.
And do you think in that too, like how it'll maybe go is, you do some of these fights, get the experience you need, and then there'll be like a huge jump, like finally maybe a Canelo or someone like that will bite on taking a fight with you because the timing is right for him. And then however you perform in that fight, that's where the big leap happens in terms of recognition and maybe getting into the conversation for like titles and things like that.
Exactly. I'm getting myself ready so that when the door of opportunity opens up, it'll be time to strike and seize the moment. And we don't know what that looks like. None of us have a crystal ball, but I will be ready in 2 to 3 years time. And when the door is ready to be opened, I'm going to be there, bursting through it, and hopefully can do the unthinkable and become a world champion. Because I want to show kids that they could start from nothing and in a period of 5 to 6 years rise to the highest rankings of something, and specifically something that's the hardest sport in the world.
It must not be hard either to kind of to see the path of motivation you saw around the last Canelo fight. Like he did kind of acknowledge it. I mean, maybe it was like a little bit of a backhanded comment where he was like, once I'm done with the real stuff, then maybe I'll look at Jake Paul. But I'm sure you don't care what circumstances it would come after or how he's looking at it, as long as you can secure the fight like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. As long as it's secured, he's gonna see what the real stuff is, 100%. And I warn him to not underestimate what I'm capable of. You know, he's fought people in some recent fights that go in there and just don't throw punches and just back up the whole entire time. I'm not that guy. I'm gonna go out on my shield, and people tend to forget that I have the size advantage. If we agreed to fight, it would be at a higher weight class. Well, look what happened when he went up against Beevil. So Canelo can, joke around and say those things when he's done with the real stuff. But I'm only getting better, and I guarantee you, when he gets in there with me, he's gonna come out with respect and a loss.
What happened with the Nate Diaz fight or like rematch talks? Because it was either Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. I was over there for 15 days. Can't even remember which place I was at the time, but it was like 5 in the morning there. And I see, the notification up from like Real Fighting to Nate Diaz's thing, it's official, the rematch happening, etc. And, you do your thing as the reporter, reach out to some people being like, is this confirmed? Is this happening? You get nothing back. And then obviously there was no real announcement made and nothing kind of from your side. So, what happened with all that? Was there anything that was close at any point? How'd that really unfold? And what was kind of that semi announcement from their side about?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're just begging, pretty desperate, I guess, like wanting to make money, but not actually wanting to make things happen. We're ready. MMA, end of 2024, $10 million, which is more than he's ever made in it for an MMA fight ever. And he's, sitting there asking for more money, basically drunk tweeting random shit and random fight posters, making himself look like a fool. So I just can't comprehend what they're trying to do or what they're saying, but this is the fight game. Everyone says they want to do things, everyone calls people out, everyone blah 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 blah, but no one actually makes shit happen. And that's what I've looked to change in this sport, and to just provide transparency to my audience about what's actually going on with these negotiations, and not being afraid to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place.
And so what kind of happens from here? Like that offers out there, you see the PFL guys kind of constantly talking about in interviews and social media. You've kind of agreed to that part of it, right? So you're just sitting there, and if one day they call you saying Nate's changed his mind or agreed to it, then you're kind of ready to put full focus into that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna start throwing knees and kicks and getting back to my Ohio wrestling roots, shooting takedowns. And I truly believe that he knows it would be a really tough fight for him. And I think that's the thing for him, where he's like, damn, do I risk my whole MMA reputation by giving this kid a chance here?
And just last thing, because I know we got to run. You've had so many fights of late that there's the huge crowds, the glitz, the glamour, big pay-per-view buys. We talk about that stuff. You're very much the A side here, maybe more so than ever for this next fight. I know you said all the money is being made that you care about, the tickets are being sold, about that kind of stuff. But do you care about maybe the general global interest in some of these next fights going forward, where maybe it is different from what you've experienced so far? And like, where is kind of your mindset when it comes to maybe the promotion side of these fights that may be a little bit more difficult for you to sell than what you've had so far in your career?
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, none of that matters now. I've already broken every record on that side of things, pretty much. So it's just not as important to me as gaining the experience. And sometimes in life, you got to take steps sideways to eventually take leaps and bounds forward in the long run. And that's what is exactly going to happen here.